It's February 4th, 2010. I'm Steven Chenault, and I work for Trollwork Games. Apparently, it's important that you hit the record button when you're doing these videos. Who knew? As you can see, I've moved the angle of the camera this week. Normally, I'm over there. I sit at my desk, but it's much too much covered in crap, and it distracts me too much. So I'm over here where Davis normally sits. As you can see, the desk is clean, which means Davis is left and I cleaned up. We keep this clean so when he comes in, this is the remnants of yesterday's work, his coffee cup, he just kind of sprawls out everywhere with his skull cap and equipment and coffee, more coffee and lots of coffee. And anyways, this is also where Neil worked last summer. We're looking forward to him coming back this summer and giving us some more good intensive work, labor, all that business. But this week I want to run down what we did last week, which was I announced the availability of the Aihrde Saga. Well, I was wrong, as usual. Something's come up. But she was held up at distribution level by Aldo Gianzi. He did this for a good reason. He had every reason to believe, following his instincts, I suppose, that sales would be better if he held it for a week, and he did so. He's done this innumerable times in the past, and we've always benefited from it. When Aldo says, do this or do that, I pretty much listen. So he'll announce that tonight, and it will ship next week to distributors, and it will show up in the stores around February 18th or thereabouts. So definitely go out and pick it up at your local retail shops. Those guys need some help out there. It's a tough economy, so give them a visit. It's also shipping with it is Dwarven Glory. It should come out same time. So definitely hit your retailers up for both items. Both items, the Aihrde Saga and Dwarven Glory. I have happily wrapped up the writing side of Monsters and Treasures of Aihrde. I finished The Devils a couple days behind schedule. I intended to have them done last Friday, but they weren't, and I got them finished yesterday through some extraordinarily bizarre inspiration. But that aside, the writing is done, and she's off to playtesting and editing for the rest of February. And as chunks get edited, playtested and edited, they'll go right to Peter, and Peter will do the layout. Art's done. Walton's got his end done. Mark Allen's got 2 pictures he's got to wrap up, but he's waiting for those from me, so he can't do anything until I get those to him. And I think Peter's, he may have maybe 8 pictures left to do, but not many. He's really on top of this project. So look for Monsters and Treasures very, very soon. I'm hoping that by the end of February, I'm looking at kind of a finalized copy that we're going through, and this guy's ready to ship and get out there. Now, what that means is that Monsters and Treasures of Aihrde for a writing project is off my desk, and I shift to the next big guy on the list, which is the Castle Keeper's Guide. I'll do a quick word on what we're doing and where we are on that project. I took today and I opened the files up to see where we are and what the heck is going on, and starting at page 1, looking through. I don't have a good assessment yet, but I'm going to go through it piece by piece. I'm very confident that I will get this thing wrapped up soon. Those sections that need to be written by me, and I will devote the same amount of time that I did to the monster book in the last 6 weeks to the CKG to get that guy done. Now, the good and the bad news is that the sections Davis wrote are huge. That's good because that means that they cover stuff that I don't know he's covered. I'll go in and get into his section and realize, holy Christmas, he wrote chapter 2 here, but he's actually written parts of chapter 7. The third part of chapter 22 and what have you. The bad news is I've got to really pay attention to his text and see where and kind of divide it up and kind of move it about. Casey Christopherson kind of has done the same thing. He's turned over a lot of stuff. I'm going to have to go through and kind of piece that, kind of place it all appropriately where it goes in the book and in the various chapters. The good thing about that is I've known Davis for a very long time and worked with him for a very long time. And I've known Casey for a better part of a decade, so we all work together well, and I'll be able to sift through their writing pretty quickly, I think. It's not going to be a government project. I'll get her done pretty fast. All that aside, CKG's on my desk, main focus, but one of the next big projects that we're looking at is Con. And I'm following the philosophy of 2010, which is bigger is better, meaning to say we're going to focus on the big projects, the M&T of Aihrde, CKG, Basic Set, Con, and a couple of things yet to be announced. But Con, we're going to focus some attention on that right now, just for a minute or so. I had lunch with Richard McBain. Now, some of you know this guy. He's been with us for a couple of years, and he's our convention coordinator. He helps us get out to shows like SoonerCon and the Dallas Fantasy Fair, I think, next month, or the Egyptian Campaign, and all these others. But he also runs Con for us. He's done it for the past 2 years, done a great job. He has been restricted in what he wants to do by the budget that I give him and the resources that I give him. And I'm very, very stingy with my budget, very, very stingy with my resources, having learned the hard way. Now, this convention, as many of you know, has suffered over the years because, one, I'm stingy, but also we focused primarily on the Lake Geneva Gaming Convention that we did in the summers up there in Lake Geneva. Gary and I worked hard to get those shows running, and they turned out to be a phenomenal success for the company, for Gary, for the fans too, for everybody that came out and all of that business. But that show is no longer part of our venue, and we were looking at expanding this year into some other shows. I have since kind of retracted off of that, backed off of that, and I'm looking at Con. Just had a great lunch with McBain today, and we booked a hotel a couple of weeks ago, same hotel. But we went and looked at a bigger site, owned by the same company, and holy Christmas, am I excited. This thing, it's the Crown Plaza Hotel here in Little Rock. Great site, triples the capacity off of last year's stuff. Our seating capacity is tripled, so that's phenomenal. It has breakaway rooms that we can get into and set up extra gaming, in there, or however we decide to arrange it. But the facilities are much more professional, much more accessible, much closer to things here in Little Rock. Restaurants, donut shop, gas stations for soda, whatever. And it didn't take me long to reallocate some funds to kind of give McBain a bigger budget to work on this thing. So I'm stoked about it, and we will finalize this. We've already booked the hotel. That's done. It's just going to be one of 3 weekends. We're going to try to keep it on a weekend that we've already scheduled Con, but that may be a problem. We'll see. We'll know by Wednesday, I suspect. But so we'll get this all finalized in the next 5 or 6 days. Get an announcement out there so you guys can start getting your tickets in. I want to encourage everybody to come down to Con. It's going to be a blast. The facilities are really where they need to be for me and for the convention itself, and for you guys who are trekking across the country. There's a few problems with the hall last year, a little bit small, what have you. And we're not going to have that problem this year. We got lots of space, the ability to divide the space. And the facilities are there. It's all going to be a phenomenal setup. So look at the next week for Con announcements, and we hope to see you at the show. And keep an eyeball out for the Umbridge Saga, Dwarven Glory, and I'll give you more updates on the rest of the products as the weeks tumble through 2010 here. I'm Stephen Chenault, and we'll see you next week.